If you suffer from gastroesophageal reflux disease, aka GERD, or a sulphite intolerance and have access to these two products, you should give my coconut cream replacement curry a try. Sorry to any non-South Africans, I haven't tried this recipe with any of the other almond milks or other brands. This is the one that I normally use. Okay, so that's the basic ingredients. You can see all the spices in the bottom left-hand corner there. Fine aniseed, thyme, oregano, dhania powder, fine cloves, and cumin powder, or G.E.R.D. Other flavor additives is we've got this Thai curry paste, green curry paste, and then we've got curried chilies, bay leaves, macadamia milk, red peppers, beans, baby marrows, coriander ×2, basil, lemongrass, chicken obviously, cashew nuts ×2, and I think that's about it. Cool, so once your onions are chopped, they can go straight into the pot to save space. Cool, then you can add a drizzle of oil. Maybe a bit more than a drizzle. Just enough to coat the onions and make sure that it doesn't stick. Just give it a little bit of toss. Cool, that can wait. Cool, so after chopping the red peppers, we should have something like that. Let's grab a container. Just gonna pop the red pepper into the container. I like to top and tail my beans and then to just cut them in half. Normally I use fine beans so that they are a little bit less chewy, but sometimes fine beans disappear into the mix of the curry and you barely even notice them. So sometimes having a little bit more of a substantial bean is really nice. Cool, so I've halved the beans so we can put them in the container. And next step, after you've topped the baby marrow, I normally like to cut it down the length in quarters, so this way. And then that way, but I'm gonna have to. Then once it's in quarters lengthways, then I simply just cut it diagonally to give us something like that. Some of them do come out a bit chunky like that, so then I sometimes make them a bit smaller, but obviously taste. Cool, so you should end up with something like that. Then that can go into the Tupperware. Cool, I've grated the 2 sprigs of lemongrass. So for the chilies, I normally like to de-seed them by topping them and then splitting it down the middle, just so that it's open, and then that's it, and then just push all the seeds out. This helps it to sit well in your stomach so that you don't have as many gripes. Cool, so chopping the chilies and grating the ginger and lemongrass should yield something like that. All right, now time for the secret ingredient. We're gonna wash and then put the basil and coriander into our blending measuring container. Cool, so we're just gonna give that a quick blend. Cool, so after you've gotten down to the bottom a bit and you hear this kind of sound, then you can add your cashew butter. So normally I just eyeball it. Let's see how we go. Okay, in goes 1 spoon. Let's add another spoon for good measure. I think I'm probably going to finish this jar because this adds the bulk of the dish. Cool, that's spoon number 2. Cool, so I've scraped off as much cashew butter as I'm willing to spend energy on, and now we'll pop a tiny bit of the macadamia milk into the blender beaker. Cool, we just need enough milk just to help the blending process, so not too much. That probably will do. Let's blend some more and have a look. Cool, okay, you should hear and see something a bit like this. You want to blend it until it's nice and smooth. Great, so we should end up with something like that. Now all we have to do is chop the chicken, and then we can start cooking. Vegans and vegetarians, feel free to skip this step. Super, so we're now in the final stretch. So after you've blended your basil and coriander, and you've chopped the chicken, and then we are going to brown the onions, and then we can add the red peppers and the beans, and while we're browning the onions, we'll add some bay leaves, and then yeah. Now, normally I add garlic, and I love garlic, but unfortunately, garlic is not G.E.R.D friendly, so we're gonna have to skip the garlic today. Time to add the bay leaves. Cool, maybe that's not a lot of bay leaves to you, but I don't know, always felt like it was. Cool, almost time to add in the red pepper, to dump the red peppers in. That's a lot of red peppers, but I like red peppers, so that's good. Cool, we've got our red peppers in, browned the onions, got our bay leaves in. It's a lot of red peppers today, but hey. Gonna let that cook for like 3 or 4 minutes, maybe 5, and then add the beans. And then we're gonna do all the flavor stuff, which is all these bad boys. Cool, onions are very nice and brown, and the red peppers are a bit soft. Now time for the beans. Cool. Okay, it's time to add the chicken, and then I will add the pureed mix as well, and I will add the flavor boys. Okay, I mixed in the chicken, browned it for like literally 30 seconds, not really any longer, because we want it to marinate in the flavor. So let's bring in the flavor. You can just dump that in there. Now we can add in chopped chilies, the grated ginger, and the grated lemongrass. So we can literally just dump all of that in. Nice. Thought I missed for a second. Superb. I've added the cashew nuts, and now I'm going to have to add the macadamia milk to get it to creamy texture. Cool, I added 1 of the cartons of macadamia milk. Looking good so far, but we need a little bit more mix, some more liquid. So let's add the next liter of macadamia milk. If you add too much macadamia or almond milk, don't worry, your cashew butter acts as the thickening agent. Okay, it's time to add the baby marrows. So let's grab those and chuck them in. Cool, so now we can start adding our flavor boys. So we're going to add a teaspoon of each of these, but I like to normally just go by feel and taste. To be very honest, I'm not actually sure if thyme belongs in this recipe, but here goes a teaspoon of thyme. You want to just gooi that in there, just like that. Bit of thyme. Looking good. And then some oregano. Our packet's looking a bit skimpy. Cool, so that's about a teaspoon of oregano. Or oregano if you're American, maybe, not sure. Before I add the other ones, I'm going to add the curry paste quickly because I don't want it to cook longer without the curry paste. So I'm going to put 2 teaspoons of the stuff in the recipe. It's quite a lot, but I like a bite. Okay, the second teaspoon was a little bit more moderate. Okay, now it's time to add the fine cloves, fine aniseed, dhania powder, and the cumin. It's also about a teaspoon of each. Cool, so that's about a heaped teaspoon of fine cloves. So I'm going to throw that in. Next is the heaped teaspoon of fine aniseed. Cool, so it needs to go in. Next is the dhania powder. Again, about a heaped teaspoon. Although that, for the full size of this pot, it's actually perfect. But obviously if you're cooking less, it would be too much. Then lastly, the cumin powder or G.E.R.D to go in. Gonna be good. Give that a good mix for about 5 minutes and then add the cauliflower. The cauliflower's gone in. We need to add a little bit more liquid and then just let it simmer, and that's it. Looks like I might need the other pot. And that's about it. I'm gonna bump up the heat a little bit and let that simmer with the lid on for a bit, and that's it. Fantastic. Once you've mixed in the paste, the green curry paste, then you can just let it simmer for 15 minutes or until the chicken is done. And that's it. Be sure to give it a stir before it boils over. And this is what it looks like when it's finished.